This will be a special episode for me. Um, I'll be sharing my connection, and also it's a tribute to my cousin, Danny Wepa Man Vargas. A couple hours ago, I found out that he passed away due to this virus. He was in his 50s, and he was a dope person, and he definitely was one of my funny cousins, and I just wanted to do a tribute for him because I had plans to have him as a guest on the podcast, and I wanted to, which I didn't know about his journey, his story. We will have moments where we'll talk about it, but I wanted to know, more, and also honor him as well to, bless us with his story. Uh, Not only is he my cousin, he's a father, he's a husband, he's a grandfather, and he was just a dope person. He was also an artist, man, and he was real big in the whole freestyle scene. I know you guys, and even a lot in house movement as well. And you guys definitely heard uh, his voice because he was definitely he was called a Wepa Man, and he would just yell on the tracks Wepa, and he has these chorus and these hooks. He was a master with them, where you will remember them and the songs that you heard. Um, what I appreciate about him, we got closer when he started coming to support my shows, and then we actually worked together too for a good amount of years. But I want to go from the beginning. You know, he was such a dope, like, musical genius. Like, he loved music and house music and hip hop, and he loved making beats. And when I started getting into music, and I found out that I had cousins that was pretty much famous in that world, I was like, oh, that's dope. I can, like, tell people, like, I'm the cousin of the Wepa Man, but people in the hood is like, who the fuck is that? Because they're not related to Biggie, anybody like that. But if you talk to a lot of people who listen to freestyle music, people in the Latin house music, his name rang bells, and they knew him. So I did carry that on my shoulder. Like, if people knew that and they listened to that music, like, oh, the Wepa Man? I was like, yeah, he's my cousin. And every time I would be around him growing up, it would be, jokes, and he would make impressions of people, and it would just be like a master class of, like, what it was to create music. And I remember one day I did ask him, I was like, where did the where did that voice come from? How did that come out? And I remember he told me, he said that was him impersonating his father, because when they used to make beats in the projects in their room, him and his brother, they used to be blasting the music and making all these beats. Their father used to bum rush into the door and go, Mira, and then just yell at them to turn off the music and then to lower it. So he took that and then he just used it on the track. And it's basically, he told me, it was an impersonation of his father, and then he just honed it, and it became him. And everybody, just the moment you hear that on the tracks, and I've seen videos of him just performing, everyone will go crazy when they just hear him. And for me, it was just dope just to have that relationship with him with music. I have a lot of relationships with certain people in my family with music. My brother, we got closer over the years, but even before we got close, we started with the music. I remember when he'll come pick me up and we'll hang out and bring me to where he lived in the Bronx. We wouldn't talk much, but the music would talk for us. So, for instance, the first time I ever heard of Prince was in my brother's car. And I remember he had the CD playing, and I remember I looked at the cover, and the guy, Prince had like the sideburns or whatever. I'm like, yo, this guy looks mad dope. I'm like, and this song is like When Doves Cry and all that stuff. He's like, yeah. And I remember I said, look, I'm taking this CD. And that's how I got into Prince. And a lot of old school music I was really listening because of my uncle, because he got me into a lot of the old classical rock, and also the Temptations and the Four Tops, all that stuff. And then I would listen to the radio a lot. So my connection with my my cousin was also music. And then, we wouldn't see each other a lot because he's living his life and he's way older than me. But every time we did connect, it was nothing but jokes, and we had a good time, and we would speak about music. And when I got older enough and he found out that I was doing comedy, he was proud about that. And he was like, oh man, of course he always try to say, you should try to use this joke or try to use that joke. But it was all love. And for me, when we got closer through him coming to my shows, he was very proud that I was doing and performing. He learned it was a moment where he learned more about me, because for us to hang out and for me to dish out everything that I was going through, or to dish out, this is how I feel about certain things. He learned more about my life. And when we started working together at this electrical company, he would share certain things about his life, and he would always root for me and tell me about certain things that I should check out and do. And it's when you heard the news today of his passing, I was I was shocked, and then I was just very sad, and I thought about all the people in the family that's also feeling this. And I know in the music community as well, this isn't a bad blow as well. But it was I just thought about all the great things that and the memories that I had with him. So I started thinking about that, and I started getting angry too, because everything that's been happening with this virus, and it's just unfortunate. And also in this episode, I wanted to play certain tracks that you guys probably heard, tracks that I liked. I remember also that I used to get a lot of vinyl records, and I would show him, and he would go down a list of showing me of different people who did this or who did what on those tracks. And I remember one time it was I stood over his house and it was on Martin Luther King's Day. I don't know what I was doing over there, but I don't know why I remember this, but I guess another music connection. It was Martin Luther King Day, and I remember he said, "Yo, I'm gonna put on some Martin Luther King stuff, and then afterwards I'm gonna show you how to DJ." And I was like, "All right, cool." And then I was still into like the whole like playing PS2 and all that stuff. So, but I was still interested in learning how to DJ. So he was teaching me all these things of how to DJ, and I just saw like the joy that he had in creating music, and it reminded me of like the same joy that I had creating music too. And I wanted to soak this moment as much as I can, because I always wanted to be with him, and also his brother and my cousin as well, Victor. When they were creating music in the studios, I always wanted to be there, but I lived in Brooklyn, they lived in the Bronx, so that was something that I was always like mad about, that I because I was so into music that I couldn't be around them, like soaking all the studio time. So I just want to play one of his songs a couple of songs, and then we'll talk more about Danny. I remember when I first got that vinyl record, it was in my mom's collection, and I remember she told me that was our cousin who did that. And everyone knows that thing, like esa loca dale huevo. And I remember I kept on playing that over and over and over again, and I will bump that on the system that we had, and I was just fascinated and in awe of the beat, and I was like, man, that shit knocks. And also, it was, it was Danny and Victor who created that, and put their their twist on it, and became a hit and a sensation. And I thought, I remember just like asking him questions about it, and he would just, the way he would explain stories, he would take you into the room. He would explain every detail. He would even say like what they ate before, what was going on. He would say like if they had drank orange juice, he would have said, yeah, we had a sip of orange juice, and then after that we went in and we started like cranking out all this material and going digging through the crates. He was so he was a storyteller, and he brought his definitely those scenes to life whenever he spoke on things on his life. The last conversation I had with him, we always would talk on Facebook. He would share videos and funny memes, and we always put like laugh out loud and all that stuff. But the last conversation I had with him was literally about 3 weeks ago, and it was like a good 30-minute conversation. And he was asking me about my life, my family, and he just wanted to just to check up. It was just one of those phone calls that came out of nowhere, because our family, we're close enough. We don't call each other all the time, but we're close enough to the point where if we hear something's happening, we'll reach out to you, or randomly we'll just reach out one day and say, hey, how you doing? It's been 20 years, you still alive? So one of those things. But Danny, he gave me a call, and I remember this because I got out of work, and I stood outside for 30 minutes just catching up. And he pretty much was telling me, everything that was going on in his life. And he was asking me when I was going to do another show. And he was just very happy that he had, he was living this life that he was doing. And he had his kids, his grandchildren. He loved them. He was looking forward to like always spending time with them. And I think that whole conversation, I really appreciated it. It was a heartfelt conversation of just two family members just talking and really like shooting the shit and catching up. There was nothing like needed from nobody. We wasn't like, hey, can I borrow this? It was just like a heartfelt and genuine conversation. I'm gonna play another track. This one is like one of his hits, and there you guys you guys definitely heard the song.
Bonita bandera, qué bonita bandera, qué bonita bandera, la bandera puertorriqueña. Qué bonita bandera, 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 la bandera puertorriqueña. Los latinos están bailando, 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 están bailando.
I remember when they performed at the Barclays, and I was like busting his balls that he couldn't get me tickets. I was like, bro, we're like family, bro. And it was like me and my coworker, who was also a brother to me, Mike. We was busting his balls because like we wanted to go. We was like, yo, we even dance in the background. Like we'll be dancers and shit like that. Like, and we yell Wepa with you. Like, come on, get us tickets to this fucking show. So anyway, he couldn't get us tickets to the Barclay Center show they was doing. And I was online. I was on Instagram. And I saw like, went to the hashtags and I was looking through them. And I seen a video of when they performed that song. And it was like, a moment where I was so happy and I got chills. It was like 30 seconds, and it got to the point, que bonita banda. And, you know, when it got to that point, when they yelled, Wepa and all that stuff, the video cuts to the crowd, and you see like thousands of people just jumping out of their seats, yelling. And it was a moment where I was just like, yo, that is so fucking dope. Like, my cousin just made, both of my cousins, they just made that moment. Like, they're performing for thousands of people. And this is like, you know, 20 plus years down the road when these hits came out, and they're still rocking out to them and people love them. It was just a dope moment to see, and I saved it so I could always watch it. And unfortunately, like, I got a new phone, I couldn't fucking find it, so I was pissed. But I found other YouTube videos about it. This episode, I just wanted to share, like, and talk about Danny. You know, the emotions are still fresh, so I'm just like all over the place of what I want to share about him. But I know I definitely appreciate him and loved him, and I'm glad that I was, you know, we was cousins in this life. And I appreciate all the support that he always given me. I did not take it for granted. And the shows that I did, it's weird how it worked wonders to build stronger connections with people. And he was one of them. And his music definitely inspired me and touched me. And also just him as a human being as well inspired me, because he was a, you know, he was a big dude. He's a gentle giant. I remember also we was working late at Crescent, and we having one of those conversations about music again. And I asked him, I was like, yo, did you have like a day job even when you guys was traveling all around the world and going overseas? He was like, yep, I never quit my day job. And a point I asked him too. I was like, well, why didn't you, or what you think like stopped you from actually, continuing it on and just, and quitting the day job and just continuing on producing and writing and singing. And one thing like I held on to, he was like, he said a couple things got in the way. And he says, one thing I will share with you is that, always know who you sign in contracts with. Always make sure people have the best interest in you, and always, be one ahead, up in front of everyone, But he didn't have, I didn't hear a tone of like, man, I wish I would have did this. It was just all learning lessons for him. And at the end of the day, he was still happy that, yeah, this is the artist's way, the artist's life. We have day jobs, you got bills to pay, and also we also creative, right? So he just accepted that lifestyle as well. And I understood it because I'm in the same boat as well. But what I appreciated was he was like, I'm here, but I'm still 20 plus years later, I'm still doing shows. I'm still doing what I love. And that for me was a big lesson in itself. It's not about, the fame, the money. It's what you do for yourself and how you reflect those lessons and feelings to other people as well, and your family. And really, following your path and journey and doing what you love, because that passion will never die. This guy, with his music, left and made an impact on everyone's lives. You could play any one of those tracks and it'll take you to a time where, where you first heard it, or the times that you was clubbing. It brings you to a happy memory. You're not going to listen to his music or his sayings and be sad. It's going to be happiness. And that's what he was. And that's what he wanted to bring to a lot of people through his music and also in life. So I'm also, at the end of this clip, I'm going to play some of his famous like live hooks that he would say that everybody will always sing along. I could go on and on, but I just wanted to keep it like short and sweet and just kind of like talk since everything is still fresh. And I just want to say, Danny, man, thank you for being a cousin. Thank you for everything you have done. I'm truly going to miss you. And I'll see you next lifetime. And thank you for just thank you. I told you when you was here. And I'm telling you now again, thank you for all the support and for you being you.